Oh, Master.
It's kind of like AI just learned a new party trick, you know?
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, it's AI this, AI that. But today, we're going deeper. We're not just talking about the hype. We're talking about how this stuff, especially this whole AI summarization thing, could actually change how we communicate, like fundamentally.
And what's really interesting is that it's already happening, right? It's not some far-off thing. This is Apple, Google, Yahoo. They're all rolling out features right now that use AI to summarize your emails before you even open them.
Okay, yeah, we've all seen those little preview lines, but this pasted text article you sent, it made me think about those snippets in a whole new way. I mean, seriously, when was the last time you actually opened an email to figure out what it was about?
Right. Our brains are naturally drawn to efficiency, and the pre-header, as used to be called in the marketing world, well, it's on its way out. AI is stepping in to tell us what's worth our time.
And it's not just email, right? This article got me thinking, what happens when it's everything? Podcasts, movies? I mean, are we going to have AI summarizing meetings someday?
Exactly, and that's where it gets really interesting. Imagine listening to, say, a 30-minute podcast on a complex topic, and AI boils it down to just the key takeaways. It makes you wonder what gets lost in that translation, though, right?
It's like that game Telephone we played as kids. By the time the message got to the end, it was completely different. Except this is AI, and the stakes are a little higher. So what happens to the art of communication, the nuance, when everything gets summarized down to the bare minimum?
That's the core question here. On the one hand, conciseness is valuable. We're drowning in information these days. But on the other hand, what happens when we prioritize efficiency over everything else? Do we lose something essential about how we connect as humans?
Which leads us to what I found most fascinating about this article, this idea of the AI gatekeeper.
Yeah, it's a powerful concept. It's not just about summarizing information. It's about the potential for AI to decide what information even reaches us in the first place. Makes you think, who's programming these gatekeepers and what biases are they bringing to the table?
So it's not just that AI might be reading our emails for us someday. It's that we might have to think about how the AI will summarize something before it even gets to a person.
Right, and think about what that means, like at work. The article asked what happens when people start sending AI representatives to meetings.
Wait, like instead of actually going to the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, part of me kind of loves that idea, like less time in meetings, right? But then again, what does that say about how much we value actually being there with other humans?
Something we're all going to be dealing with before we know it. Will there be a backlash? Like, are we going to miss the days of just talking to each other face to face?
Yeah.
Or will we figure out how to work with this tech? Maybe AI will actually make us better at working together.
And this is what I find really interesting, and that article kind of touched on it. What happens to things like persuasion, creativity, even just making friends when we're basically talking to algorithms? If I'm constantly thinking, how do I make this AI friendly? Does that change how I talk to other people? Will we all start sounding like bots ourselves?
It makes you wonder, what is communication really? Is it just about getting information across as fast as possible? Or is there something more to it, a human element that you need to build trust or empathy? These are things we can't ignore as this technology keeps developing.
Okay, so you're saying this AI summarization thing, it's not all bad, right? The article did say that maybe we can use it to our advantage, right?
Exactly, and that's what's so cool about this whole conversation. It's not like technology is good or bad. It's more complicated than that. There could be some good things that come out of this too, like if AI makes us cut to the chase, maybe we become better communicators because of it.
So instead of being afraid of AI, maybe it's a challenge, something that forces us to get better at saying what we really mean.
Think about it. We've all written emails that were way too long or sat through presentations that should have just been bullet points, right? That doesn't work in a world where AI is always summarizing things. We have to be better, more impactful with everything we say. Maybe AI can actually help us up our game when it comes to communication.
So AI might make us more articulate, more convincing, maybe even more creative just because we have to be to get noticed. I'm not going to lie, that's a pretty optimistic way to look at it. But it really makes you think. So for everyone listening, what's the takeaway here? It's easy to get caught up in all this talk about AI and think, what does it all mean?
It's a lot, but it's also pretty exciting. We get to be a part of this. We can help shape how it all plays out.
Right. It's not about being anti-AI. It's about figuring out how to make it work for us.
Exactly. And it all starts with knowing what's going on, having these conversations, thinking critically about the tools we're using.
And speaking of tools, this whole conversation started with that pasted text article, and they actually did something really interesting. They used AI to make an audio version of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty wild.